Được tạp chí Forbes xếp vào danh sách 40 người giàu nhất Malaysia, ông Vincent Tan, chủ tịch tập đoàn Berjaya được ví như là một người đàm phán xuất sắc. Sinh năm 1952 đến năm 2008, Forbes công bố tài sản của ông Vincent Tan là 1,3 tỷ đô la, xếp thứ 9 trong danh sách 10 người giàu nhất Malaysia. Năm 39 tuổi, ông Vincent Tan trở thành người trẻ nhất trong lịch sử Malaysia được phong tước Tan Sri. Tập đoàn Berjaya của ông đầu tư đa ngành, từ bất động sản, khách sạn, khu giải trí, viễn thông, bảo hiểm đến cả thực phẩm. Đầu tư của Berjaya cũng trải rộng từ Mỹ, Nhật, Hàn Quốc, Trung Quốc đến các nước trong khu vực Đông Nam Á. Cũng giống như bao doanh nghiệp khác, cuộc khủng hoảng tài chính châu Á 1997 đã khiến cho Berjaya gặp khó khăn. Ông Vincent Tan thường mở đầu câu trả lời cho một câu hỏi hóc búa về kinh nghiệm làm ăn của mình bằng một câu rất khiêm tốn: tôi là người may mắn.
I'm a lucky man.
We'd like to express our heartfelt thanks for your presence, with your business, very busy schedule you are here. So let me begin by asking you to help us with your story, success story.
After I finished high school, I was supposed to go to New Zealand actually for further studies. I've got all the application approved. And then my father went into difficulty in his business. He got a small business, and he got into very big financial difficulty. And he find it difficult to finance me. Then I told him, don't worry, I don't want to study, I want to come out and work. And so that's what happened. And so because of that, I decided my ambition is I want to do business and I want to become rich. I worked in a bank for 1 year. And while I was working in the bank, I was doing part-time life insurance agent. After 2-3 months, I find that I make more money selling life insurance and working full-time in the bank. So after about a year, I quit the bank and went full-time selling life insurance. So when I was selling life insurance, I met many small businessmen. And then I decided that part-time I should also do business. So I started in car business, importing equipment, machinery, and then went into transport business. And my biggest break was in 1981. McDonald's chose me to be their partner in Malaysia. So after I wooed them and lobbied them for 7 years, when I was 21 years old, so when I was 28, they finally agreed to take me as their partner. At the age of 28, I think I already made several $1 million. I know that McDonald's will be a big business, so I spent quite a lot of time, but at the same time, my other business still continue. I was fortunate that one of the things that I privatized from the government was I bought the government lottery company called Sports Toto. It was at that time a very small company. It was not very successful because the government dare not promote lottery too much because they own it. So I realized that if a private sector own it, we can promote it and make it big. So with the success of having successfully privatized Sports Toto, from then on, our group, we continue to expand into many other areas of business. And our most difficult time came in 1997 and 98. That was the time, all of you remember, the Asian crisis. Malaysia interest rate went up to as high as 25%. At 25% or 22 to 25%, most businesses who borrow money from the bank will eventually have to fail. During that time, I was fortunate. I met our Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dr. Mahathir. You all know Dr. Mahathir is a great leader of Malaysia. He's the one known as the father of modern Malaysia. And also during Dr. Mahathir's time, a lot of businesses thrived because he encouraged private enterprise, he encouraged privatization, and he said that government should get involved less in business and let the private sector do the business. I benefit from Dr. Mahathir's good policy, good government, and therefore we could grow our group to be this size.
How you overcome the Asian crisis when all the bank interest is about 22 to 25%?
Actually, we suffered a lot during that time. I lost two very big big asset, or what I lost two jewels in my crown. One of it, I was forced to sell my mobile telephone company called DG. I sold it to Telenor. And then the second one, I have a life insurance company, which I started with a Prudential joint venture, but we own 70%, Prudential owned 30%. Because of the crisis, Prudential made a very good offer to buy from us, so we accepted the offer. By selling these two, we have enough cash to help all the other companies in the group, so that the group does not get into financial trouble. So from very early, I've decided my strategy is to have diversified business. So I always say we are like a big ship, carrying all kinds of cargo. So sometimes we carry very heavy cargo. So in a storm, if you go through a stormy weather, then we have to throw some cargo off so that we can survive it.
Did you receive any financial or any support from the government?
No, we did not receive any financial support from the government. But I think most important thing is we got help from the government because they put up a good policy to peg the currency, US to 380 ringgit, and then they stop. They have capital control, and that stabilized the economy so that we can do our business properly. But the government didn't give us, say, oh, I lend you 100 million or 200 million low interest to go through this. No, they did not. But their policy helped us. And of course, like I told you earlier, I sold some crown jewels, my very good companies. Life insurance, very good one. Then the mobile phone, DG, very successful now.
You have been involved in a number of businesses, real estate development, shopping center, and financial services. If you were to concentrate on one, let's say, business, would you be an international figure, a tycoon on the global market?
This is called focus. If you are focused, you can be big in one business. If I were to focus, at that time, I should have focused on the telecom business. Because DG, when we started DG, we were the number 8 operators, 8. There were 7 others. We were the 8th license, the last, supposed to be almost the last license. And when I sold the time, it was valued around 4 billion ringgit. Today, the company is almost 35 billion ringgit. It's almost 9 times to 10 times what I sold.
During that time, a lot of Vietnamese companies are also in real estate. And now they are going through financial crisis, some slump. And you have a number of landmark hotels in the Sheraton and everything. So what's your story and strategy?
We were in China. We were also in a project in Korea. So we were also in Vietnam. Actually, more in Vietnam. We believe that Vietnam long-term is good. But we are also going through some difficulties in Vietnam because of the economy in Vietnam and then the currency devaluation. I sold a shopping mall here called Fahrenheit 88. That was our mall. That was called KL Plaza before, it owned by us. We sold it for about 150 million US. You know what I did? I took all the money and put it into Vietnam. Of course, I want to tell you this frankly. My bankers and my friends say I make a big mistake. But I tell them it's okay. I always make mistakes, and every time, in the end, it's all right. I have faith in Vietnam. Our projects there we will still be doing. Of course, sometimes the government is not happy, we are a bit slow, but we tell them it is better that we slow and we can get it done rather than you ask us to rush and we get into financial trouble. And the other thing is, our property projects in Vietnam, we do not borrow money locally because your interest rate is so high. It's very tough to borrow locally. So we have to send money from here. Our interest rate is much, much lower. Malaysia, our interest rate average is we pay around 6%. So we take risk, foreign exchange risk. But we believe that long term will be all right. We have actually invested in Vietnam maybe 300 million, about 300 million US.
Thank you. That's a very, very interesting story. And now I know why you are a tycoon. No, no, yeah, tycoon.
I'm lucky. I'm lucky.
Berjaya được xem là một trong những nhà đầu tư lớn nhất vào Việt Nam với 9 dự án lớn, trong đó có 6 dự án liên quan đến bất động sản. Trong khi thị trường bất động sản tại Việt Nam đã mất gần 30% giá trị kể từ cuối năm 2007 đến nay, ông Vincent Tan vẫn tin vào tương lai của thị trường này khi nhận định đầu tư của Berjaya vào Việt Nam là đầu tư dài hạn.
We still have faith in Vietnam. I think long-term Vietnam is good.
You know, the first part we concentrate on your experience as a Malaysian tycoon. I'd like to switch to the second part, which is the lessons for Vietnam. And the first question is that Vietnamese companies during the financial crisis, especially today, they don't have any crown jewels like you have to sell. So how do they survive?
Remember earlier on I said I'm a lucky man. That's why one of my policies at that time is to be diversified. But of course, if you don't have diversification, you are only one business, then you are focused on the business. And I believe if you are focused on your business, you run your business well, you cut your expenses, cut your overhead, bring your overhead down, and then do a lot of marketing. And of course, you have to be creative. I'm sure you can overcome. You have to convince your bankers and the government, if possible, also to assist you during this difficult time, to give you more time, and to come up with better policies that will help your business and the business of Vietnam. And of course, like I said, we still have faith in Vietnam. I think long-term Vietnam is good. You can look at your business. If it's good, maybe we can invest in your business. It can be your partner, your small partners.
You have said a number of times that you have faith in Vietnam, you believe in Vietnam, and ultimately you become successful in Vietnam. And what kind of time frame are you talking?
I'm a very patient investor.
Thank you.
I'm a patient investor, so whatever time that my investment will do well actually depends a lot in the policies of the government and the people of Vietnam. So I believe that the government of Vietnam and the people of Vietnam wants Vietnam to be successful. So I have faith that even though we go through this, eventually you will do well. And the government will eventually understand and come up with good policies. And when the good policies are all in place, everybody work hard, the country will do well, our investment will do well.
There's an interesting question here. If you were to have an opportunity to see the president or the prime minister of Vietnam, what would you like to say to them? What kind of recommendations you have for them?
Sincerely, I would advise Vietnam to tackle the deficit, your trade deficit. That means you should export more than you import. And number two, of course, if you do that, the next thing is your interest rate will come down. I also advise the government should privatize more of the businesses. Government is best not to be in business. I think they should be in the business of governing, not in running business. And then finally, I will advise them, again, like I've said before, that they should change the education system to be bilingual. That means Vietnamese, and they should choose a very international language, that is English. We also invest in the Philippines. The Philippines used to be not very good, their economy, but now the Philippines is very successful. They have trade surplus. You know what is their trade surplus? So many Filipinos work overseas and send money home. And how do they work overseas? Because all Filipinos speak English. Philippines is also the population is about the same as Vietnam. There may be Philippines about 100 million. And they also have problem with employment, not enough jobs for the people. But at least with English language, all of them can work overseas. There was a meeting with your president, the previous one, I think, where he's told me that Vietnam has big population and we have difficulty in creating jobs. Yeah. And then I told him, I said, Your Excellency, your big population is an asset. It's not a liability. I said, the bigger the population, the better it is for your country. Look at China. Can you imagine China? 1.3 billion. If China population is 90 million or 100 million, who cares about China? Population is important. It is an asset. But it is how you educate and train your population that is important. So one of the things that I recommend, and I recommend to all of you, you must make everyone learn English. If you are bilingual, you know English, you all know the whole world you can go. And I believe that Vietnam will do well if the government do all these things and do it successfully. And like I say, don't worry about the lobby by the rich people. You have to tax them, you tax them.
When did you become billionaire?
Maybe a few years ago.